Hello, my friend. Once again, you have tuned into Renegade Files, your portal into the hidden currents of history, covert culture, and paranormal experiences. You are now among outcasts, and I'm your host, Lex Gordon, bringing you this unauthorized transmission from the Jungle Villa outpost deep in the uncharted tropics. This is Renegade Files, episode 92. Conspiracy Theory State of the Union. 4 years of Renegade Files. This show marks our 4-year anniversary. And in honor of that occasion, and as an annual tradition, I offer you the Renegade Files Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the truth and the weird world of Renegade Files, and to the alternative for which it stands. One nation, underground, invisible, with conspiracies and mysteries for all. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode and for helping the show reach this milestone of 4 years in podcasting. Like the previous anniversary shows, this episode is unscripted and relaxed. Wow, this has been a great year. And we are set to take it even further in 2026. So get ready to rock. So this is our annual Conspiracy Theory State of the Union episode, where we look back on the previous season of Renegade Files, look ahead to the coming year, and reflect on the current state of alternative media, conspiracies, and the paranormal landscape. And before we begin, remember our upcoming Renegade Files Fan Theories episode, where I'll share your favorite conspiracy or paranormal theory. Anything crazy. Submit your favorite crazy conspiracy theory or outlandish paranormal possibility. In short, anything bizarre or mysterious or conspiratorial in an email to lexgordon@mail.com with the word theory in the subject line. I already have 3 and I think maybe 4. We're coming right along. Now this can be anything, whether we've covered it in an episode or not. It just has to be a conspiracy or a weird theory that you think is cool. I'll fit in as many as I can on a first-come, first-served basis, so don't delay. I'm taking submissions for all of September 2025, and that's fast coming to an end, and the Fan Theories episode will come out in October. Anything goes, no deep research needed on your end, just a summary of the concept. So send your favorite crazy conspiracy theory or paranormal possibility to lexgordon@mail.com with the word theory in the subject line. And follow us on your podcast app right now so you don't miss it. And send me your favorite theory today. Thank you. All right. So I launched Renegade Files, the very first episode, on September 21st, 2021. That's hard for me to believe, but it is true. And now we're at 4 years of doing this and 92 full episodes. So, including Short Drives episodes, this puts us at 100 episodes. And that's not including our Patreon exclusive bonus episodes, and all of these covering the strange, the unsolved, the conspiratorial, and the creepy paranormal corners of the world we live in. A lot of work and fun since we started, and I feel like we're just hitting our stride. Thank you so much for going on this adventure with me. And thank you to the helpful fans who are Renegade Files agents on Patreon. You make this show possible. We kicked off last season with episode 71, Ghost Hunting, History, Tools, and a Haunted Restaurant Visit, which was the one I did with Agent Sheila, and that was a very popular episode. Renegade Files Agent Sheila and I are teaming up to do another ghost hunt in St. Augustine in November. And then we'll be hitting the road to do it again at an investigation of a haunted house in Brooksville, Florida in January, when we go to the May Stringer House, which was built in the 1800s, is a beautiful Victorian mansion, and is said to be quite haunted. We're making episodes for both of those ghost hunts, so stay tuned. Look for those episodes in November and February. So last season, our top 3 episodes as far as total plays goes were episode 78, Illegal Drugs, Weapons of the Deep State, episode 75, 10 Conspiracies That We Know Are True, and the number 1 episode last season was episode 77, Antarctica, Mysteries, UFOs, and More. The Miami Mall episode was right up there too, and all of the episodes did really well. And I guess in a certain sense, a list like this isn't fully fair, because the episodes that have been out longer naturally have more plays, and I could write a formula to weight certain variables like number of plays in the first week, total plays, total replays, but you know what? There's no reason to get paralysis by analysis. For the most, the biggest numbers do the best in the first week also, and it's just a little exercise to look back on the year, so that's how I'm doing it. I will tell you that the most popular Renegade Files episode ever is the Laurel Canyon Conspiracy Theory, episode 7, and I am really happy about that because it's one of my favorites for sure. I may have said that last year at this time. As far as overall growth, we increased the total downloads this year by 145% over last year, which is excellent. Our total subscribers are up by about the same percentage. So that's listeners who click follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, mainly, plus any other podcast app that lets you subscribe to a show or follow a show. Now, these percentage increases and the overall plays for the biggest episodes, and for every episode for that matter, are taken from my podcasting host. And I know they aren't complete because not all of the apps report their activity fully, so if anything, our total downloads and growth are much higher. I'm not going to bore you with numbers and statistics and percentages and that kind of thing, beyond just saying what I just did, which is in 2025, we doubled our number of plays on the podcast and added another 50% about. So a growth of 145 to 150% over the year before. Can't ask for much more than that. So looking ahead, one thing I'm going to do is change the seasons to fit the calendar year. So I started the show on September 21st, and that's always been the end of our year and the beginning of our next year, and I called those our seasons, and all that's very well. But the next Conspiracy Theory State of the Union address and end of the year for Renegade Files episode will come out at the end of the year next year. So we can do this coinciding with the calendar end of the year. It's only a few months difference, and having our podcast year start on January 1st instead of September 22nd just makes more sense at this point. It's not a huge deal. So those of you who've been here from the beginning will know, and moving forward, we're just going to call it a year with the calendar year. So that's a little bit of housekeeping that we won't have to worry about for a little more than a year. So anyway, that's how I'm going to do it. It makes my world easier, and it doesn't matter to you. So there we have it. All right, so the next part of our looking ahead section comes in the form of how I'm going to address and try to accomplish our growth in 2026. I'm going to be perfectly honest, we've done a really good job growing organically over the years, and I've approached that in what would be considered the normal way, an Instagram page, a website, putting out periodic episodes the best I can, making the show the highest quality that I can, doing the research myself, all organic, and it's just one of those things that we've sort of reached the curve that we're going to reach that way. So back in August, I took a look at our growth, and I took a look at our accomplishments and our downloads and subscribers and Patreon numbers, and developed what I call the Renegade Files Growth Playbook. And the idea was to enact these tasks, to set up a strategic plan and put all of this in order for the 4 months and 11 days between when I began to write the playbook and the end of the year, so that all of these components for building out 2026 would be up and running at the start of the new year. Okay? I'm going to spare you the numbers and the details and the percentages and everything, but suffice it to say there are some pretty impressive goals I mean, I guess I can tell you, I don't know. There's always been this debate internally for me and externally among other podcasters as to what you do and don't share with the audience. I've always been very honest with you as far as what we do and our numbers and everything. There's no reason to change that now, so I might as well just give you a little highlights of the reason for this plan. Basically, what I want to do is increase our total subscribers. So those would be people that follow us for free on Spotify and Apple. Right now we have about 3,000, and my goal is to have 100,000 by the end of 2026. That might sound like a huge stretch, but not when you consider I had like 12 at the end of the first year and 30 at the end of the second year. So we are ramping it right up, but our intention is to grow it a little more. And it isn't just to have more people, it's to leverage the reach that gains you. So the more episodes you have played, the more Spotify and Apple and all the big guys in the game will serve your podcast to more people. It's one of those things that the guys killing it don't need any more reach because they're getting it organically. And that's where I want to build our show up to that point. And you are a huge part of that. So and with that growth comes growth in every other area, which also means more patrons on our Patreon channel, which means this can finally be my full-time job, and then I can devote even more time to doing it, which serves you as a listener, because I can give you more and I can do more for you, as well as for myself. I love doing this. I've said from the beginning, I'm just going to keep going as long as I can. I haven't hit the numbers I wanted to in the first and second year, but the growth has always been there. So this is just my way of doing what I can to help that growth. And that's what this Renegade Files growth playbook is about. Okay, so that's enough of that. So this consists of a few phases, and it's all dated out so that it's calendarized and I have a clear plan for doing what I'm doing, okay? I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to go through here and give you this, and I'm not going to bore you to death. We're going to do it fast. So in the growth playbook, and like I said, the idea was I'm going to accomplish all this and set it all up in the 4 months since I began this to have it up and running, and I'm totally on track to do that. I haven't missed a deadline yet. So basically this, I'm going to go through here and give you the honest sort of layout of what this looks like. So phase 1 was from August 20th to September 15th. It's called Foundation and Acceleration Kickoff, and it involves a few parts. Part 1 is a content cadence upgrade, and that would be committed to and done by 8/21/25, and that involves committing to weekly episodes released 4 per month every Wednesday, with periodic short drives episodes for special content posting on Friday if and when they do come out. So I'm not giving up totally on the short drives episodes. People love them, and it didn't hurt the algorithm. It didn't blow it up like I thought. And you know all that if you've been listening to the show. But I think it's a good format for certain things. So you might see some periodic short drives episodes pop up here and there. I'm not going to do a whole bunch in order like I did before, but I'm going to use that format to get different types of information out to you when necessary. So the first weekly episode goes up on 8/27, and I've been hitting every Wednesday then since. I might have missed one, but I didn't miss the episode. It just came out a few days later. So that's my plan and that's my commitment. And I know I've said it before, but I've got another framework built around this to allow me to do it. So I think we're going to pull it off this year and see the fruits of our labor. As far as action steps to build the podcast, that's probably the simplest one, and it's probably the most effective one. So that's sort of part 1 of phase 1. The second one is Patreon optimization. And I put a lot of research and work into figuring this out. So what I've done is add a $3 entry-level tip jar tier. That comes with no perks. There's no free week trial. And there is a discount for paying yearly, so you can pay a whole year of it up front. And it's just a way for someone to support the show who doesn't want any of the extra stuff. I'm going to keep the existing Patreon tiers the way they are, 5, 10, 20, and 49, and all of those tiers get the escalating benefits, so more and more content, more and more behind the scenes, more and more stuff. There's a t-shirt tier, there's all of that, and Anyone who wants the existing content and the bonus content while helping the show, just join at the $5 or up tier, and you'll be in there, and I look forward to seeing you there. Another tier I added was the Deep State Benefactor tier. It's $133 a month, and if you join that, you will get a special thank you from me. I'll drive to where you are and give you a hug. Just kidding. I won't do that. But if you're at that level and you love me that much and you're considering it, throw down. And then the last part of that is create a clear Patreon pitch for every episode. And I already kind of do that. I try to not wear it out, and it's not my intention to bore the listener with my sales pitch, but it is a big part of making the show work, and so I don't have any problem with it. And people have told me that they appreciate the smooth way I try to blend it into there. It's just one of those things. You gotta pay the bills. So the second part of phase 1, which is foundation and acceleration kickoff, is leveraging short form video clips, and have that done and set up by 8/30/2025, which I hit that deadline as well. So choose a short form video tool and bust out. Initially I thought 4 short form videos that look and feel a little bit different from each other, and then post those on social media. And I've got all that up and going, and they're doing well. Just to let you know, the best venue for them so far has been YouTube Shorts. And I've also put those videos up on Instagram and X, which I don't spend a lot of time on X, so I don't have a huge following there. I'm followed by bots on X. But if you want, jump on X and follow me. If you really want to get the goods, jump on Instagram and follow Renegade Files on Instagram. It's a good visual adjunct to the podcast, and it's where I post all the tiles for extra episodes, new stuff coming out, what's out now, what's coming up, all that. It's a fun spot. It's a friendly environment. It's very supportive. I love Instagram. Another part of that is making a catalog of 3 short clips per episode, and I've already done that. I have a pretty smooth system of doing that. I've got it on my calendar. Certain days of the week I do this, and other days I do that, so that I can do all that and still have some time to do everything else. I'm looking for a way to automate the posting of those, but it's not that hard. It doesn't take that long, and I enjoy having my hands in it a little bit too. Then I can see what's going on in the world of social media, somewhere that I don't live on, but I do frequent in the process of communicating for the show. The next part of that would be a YouTube channel setup, done by Wednesday 8/27. All that's done. I uploaded the back catalog of episodes with SEO titles, and I changed the channel link so that the Patreon link is above the fold on every episode. I've been sort of building that out, and I have it set up where the catalog of episodes come out once a week, and that's doing really good. We're building up our subscribers. I think we have 1,000 hours of plays on there already. Once again, not huge for YouTube, but huge for Renegade Files just starting out there. Another part of that sort of phase 1 foundation acceleration kickoff is solicit input for a listener theories episode. So that would have been the listener theories pitch you heard at the beginning of this episode and the other ones in September. And you know what that's about if you heard me mention it. So that was part of this. The next part is set up an email newsletter on Substack, done by 910. That's totally up and running. The newsletter name is Renegade Signals, and the tagline is Forgotten Lore, Field Research Notes, and Paranormal Mini Courses from Lex Gordon of the Renegade Files podcast. So if you ever read Substack newsletters, find me on there and subscribe to Renegade Signals. It's not just a big long-running ad for the podcast. It is more content for you that I make. Consider it your weekly communique from the Jungle Villa Outpost. It delivers practical methodologies, investigative dispatches, and decoded insights into paranormal subjects, cultural analysis, and mysterious topics, all distilled for the modern outcast. It's your field guide for the unexplained. And you can have it sent to your inbox every Monday with transmissions falling into one of these following 4 categories: forgotten lore, So these are articles about ancient monsters, Native American legends, medieval demons, Victorian fairies, and stuff like that. It's paranormal history for the curious. The second category is mini course. So these are micro-learning paranormal field guides designed to get you up to speed fast when an investigation looms. So Ghost Hunting Tools 101, A-Tips 5 Observables to Identify Genuine UFO, Do's and Don'ts of Cryptid Hunting, stuff like that. The third category is field memos. These are summaries from my personal paranormal excursions journal. You can expect details, dates, timestamps, reporting on recent but completed research adventures, field investigations, travel. Search Renegade Signals on Substack. I'm also going to put links on our website to the Renegade Signals Substack newsletter, and I guess in the show notes, probably a good idea. So, jump on Substack, search Renegade Signals, subscribe to us. It's free, and you get one of 4 categories, an article every week, and they don't go in any order. It's just whatever's happening at the moment, and it's in addition to the podcast. It's not just ads for the podcast. It's cool stuff. So go there, sign up, and get some cool articles for free. So this brings us to phase 2 of the Renegade Files growth playbook. It's called the Audience Discovery Engine, and it plays out from September 17th to October 15th. Consists of items such as a short form video blitz up and running by Wednesday 9/17. So begin posting 3 short form videos per week for each episode on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X. I'm already doing that. Also create a chart to track which formats work best. So text overlays or face versus logo, that kind of thing. Track that for 1 month, then focus on the winning formats, and repeat that process of tracking for a month and focusing on the winners in the first month of every quarter, so that we're not just doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results. We want to find the winners and go with those types of video or short form video, and maybe increase the number of those to 4 or 5, and it just depends on how much work it is and how much traction we get from it. The next part is cross-promotion outreach, started on Tuesday the 16th, September 16th, and done by the end of the month. I'm in the middle of doing that right now, and basically I'll just skip over the details of that, but that's me working as a guest on other podcasts, and I have an outline for that, and when that happens, you'll be the first to know. Thirdly is Spotify, or whatever number this is, Spotify engagement, started on 9/17. So use question and answer polls in Spotify episodes to boost ranking. I've never done that before, and you can look forward to it. On October 1st, you can look forward to me launching our street team, and I'm going to announce that in every October episode. So September is going to be the fan theories episode, and October is going to be the month of the street team. So basically, anyone who wants to be a part of the Renegade Files street team only need to send me an email with the word street team in the subject line and your mailing address in the email body, and I'll send you a free Renegade Files street team kit, which includes stickers, flyers, and business cards for you to post around all the freaky places in your area and spread the word. So everyone who's a Patreon supporter on Patreon will also automatically be included and receive that street team kit. So those fine folks can look forward to that as well. And that's basically a big part of October. I think it'll be fun. I've already got an informal street team, and some people traveling around the world have helped spread Renegade Files. So that's very fun. I appreciate all of their effort. And we're just going to formalize it and make a real thing out of it. So look forward to that. And then done by the middle of October, or a little before, we're going to do what's called a community kickoff. I'm going to create either a Discord server or a Telegram group. And I don't know. I think I'm leaning toward Telegram because of the privacy and the freedom of speech there. It seems like it might work better for our crowd. And it's also going to be part of a Patreon perk for the people who are paid supporters there. I think that's the way I'm going, although I still have some research to do. So look for that around the middle of October, a sort of community chat group. So that brings us to phase 3 of the growth playbook, which is growth loops and fan activation. So we're going to build some interactive content. We're going to produce the listener theory episode, put that out. We're going to do a listener milestone campaign, which is publicly set a short-term goal, like help Renegade Files reach 10,000 Spotify followers by November 30th, something like that. We're going to engage the listeners to follow and share, so that'll be in October as well. We're going to experiment with some paid growth. I've always looked into it, and I just feel like we're at a level where we have enough back catalog and we have enough existing fans that they could build some lookalike audience and actually get some traction with paid growth. I don't mind paying for advertising. I just haven't done it yet because I felt like we weren't at that level where the paid ads would be doing anything more than throwing spaghetti at the wall. I think we're a little more refined at this point, so we're going to go forward with that in November. Then there's some back of the house Apple podcast stuff that we're going to leverage. We're not going to go into that. It's just kind of boring. Phase 4 is called Scale and Systematize, and that's from middle of November till the end of December. So we're going to build a promo content cache, mainly consisting of 20 short form clips so that I can post those over holidays or when I'm traveling, just so we don't get gaps in the promo. A big part of that is going to be the annual Conspiracy Theory State of the Union address. So the question is, am I going to do another one on December 21st? Maybe just a mini one, since we're changing up our dates. I don't think it'll hurt. Maybe we'll do that as a short drive episode on a Friday. Good idea. We're going to do analytics review. So like, how did we do? I'm going to do this at the end of the year. We're going to audit our Spotify statistics, our Substack subs, our Insta followers, YouTube, Patreon, and identify the sort of things that work the best, right? Beyond that are the statistics where we stand now, and we're going to chart those out. So basically what this looks like for 2026 is commitment to and locking down a weekly release cadence of episodes, a clip workflow fully automated, that's done. Substack newsletter up and 100% running, that's done. Once again, go check it out. Patreon tiers optimized, we've done that. Community platform seeded, that's forthcoming. Guest pipeline ongoing, I'm working on that right now. So everything that I've said I was going to do in this growth playbook, I'm on track. I haven't missed any deadlines, as I said, and the few things that are left between now and the end of the year, I'm going to safely slide into home and complete those too. I also created a Renegade Files operations task outline for myself, and it looks like a breakdown of things I do weekly and things I do monthly. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that since I'm on this page. It's kind of cool. So weekly, every Monday is my admin day. That comes back from my corporate world. Monday was always admin day, so I've always kept that going in my creative content business life as well. So Monday is admin day, and that's when I calendarize, I update and plan my week, and that's also when I post a weekly Substack article. So on Tuesday, every Tuesday, I make 3 short form videos for the next episode, which comes out on Wednesday. It's also when I make the Instagram image for the Renegade Files episode coming out. On Wednesdays, I post the main episode, or that's when it goes up. I post the Dark Intel files on Patreon for the patrons there for the new episode. And I post the short form video number 1 on Instagram, YouTube, X, and Facebook. On Thursday is when I write the main episode, and that's when I post an image for the new episode also on Instagram, Facebook, and X, all the socials. On Friday, I finish writing the main episode, and that's when I do a short drive episode and post it, and a bonus episode if possible, or if there is one. And it's when we post short form video number 2 for the new episode on the socials. On Saturdays, that's recording day. That's when I record, edit, and polish the podcast, the main podcast. And it's when I schedule the Renegade Files main episode for next Wednesday so it can come on at the proper time. And on Sunday, I post a short form video number 3. So those are what I do every day of the week. So as you can see, each day it's just 1 or 2 things, some of them bigger than others. But if I can stick to that, then I don't have a problem. Then monthly, on the first Monday of every month is when I write and post my Substack monthly Intel dispatch, so for what's coming up. On the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month, I write, record, and edit the monthly Patreon bonus episode. On the second Monday, I post the monthly Patreon bonus episode, and on the third Monday, post any extra Patreon content like behind the scenes video, bizarre internet finds, quick audio updates, that sort of thing. So as you can see, it is a continual flow of work, but for someone like me who likes to work, it's doable. So that's basically the podcast moving into 2026, what we're going to do, how we're going to grow, and thank you so much for being a part of it. So now let's get to the fun stuff. Let's see here. Where were we? Click. The Renegade Files Conspiracy Theory State of the Union. All right. Wow, what a crazy year in the conspiracy land for 2025, right? So where do we start? How about this isn't like huge exhaustive research. This is just me off the cuff giving you my opinion of what's going on. First of all, how about Diddy? Did he do it? Diddy found basically not guilty, only guilty of soliciting prostitution or some weird thing, which everyone in the world knows is BS, including you and including me. Anyway, that was such a fiasco, you know what's interesting also? Hardly anyone even talks about that anymore, right? If you're like, oh man, whatever happened? Did you think Diddy did it? They're like, what do you mean Diddy did it? Like, you ask someone on the street now, they're like, wasn't that Kanye? Like, I don't know. It's amazing how quickly we forget. So anyway, the powers that be tell us Diddy wasn't really guilty. He didn't do anything. And all the elite rappers cheered. Did you see that video? It was very weird. Anyway, I mean, good for the guy if he really didn't do it, but it seems way fishy to me. So that was the appetizer for 2025, right? Because then we move into the Epstein Files, which is the most dramatic example of gaslighting I've ever seen in my life. So here you have the Trump administration carrying that flaming pitchfork for 4 years and basically running in part on the whole idea that this has got to come out, this has got to come to light. And then, you know, a few months in, what do we hear from them? This is a hoax. There is no Epstein file. Well, then what was in those binders that your attorney general was holding up? What was all that promise of we're going to release it? And then on the, right then the turn was, oh, there's nothing to release. And the other thing that came with that was Epstein didn't even blackmail anybody. Oh, really? So then why did you arrest him? It doesn't make any sense. And the other thing is, if Epstein was innocent and didn't do anything, then why did he kill himself, which they tell us he did? A billionaire who's innocent and who's arrested on false pretenses doesn't kill himself in jail. He fights like hell to get out. He hires a dream team of lawyers, and he's back in the Bahamas in an hour. The whole thing makes no sense. And the other thing is, you can't blame one side or the other side politically. There's no safe ground to stand on in that argument, right? So the people that are railing against Trump and saying, oh, Trump is covering up the Epstein files because he's in it. Really? Because Biden had the same information for 4 years. And if Trump was in it and Biden was innocent, it would have been front page news. Am I wrong? So all of those guys are mixed up in this, and allegedly, in my humble opinion, right? It seems that what we're dealing with here is something that is so widespread and so sinister that it would have to go through 100 green lights to see the light of day, and it's just not happening. We're at the point now where there's so many tentacles and so many arms and so many facets and strings attached to that we will probably never know the truth. Who knows? And if they do say, okay, here it is, who knows if that's real or fake? I don't know what's real or fake anymore, but I know that billionaires that are innocent don't kill themselves when they haven't done anything, which is what basically the official story is here, and that's all BS. And what it is, I don't know. And if Trump is involved and he's in it, or he could be protecting someone he can't afford to lose. And my argument of the whole thing is, if it was just because if he's just covering it up because he's part of it, then Biden would have thrown him under the bus and had 4 years to do it and never did. So I really don't know. I'm at a loss. I think the whole thing is fishy. I think it's scandalous, and I think there are powerful people with their hands in that cookie jar, and that's why we're probably never going to really know the truth. It's terrible. So, moving on from that, I could spend all day ranting about it. So, moving on from that, we have, is John McAfee still alive? Or McAfee? He's the software guy, Big Trouble in Little China type character, Hellraiser, born to run kind of dude. I always loved him. He did a deep interview with Gordo on Those Conspiracy Guys, and even shortly after we found out he was dead in 2021, Gordo came out and said, oh man, he faked it. He totally faked it. And he's kind of said that in a tongue-in-cheek way, but I think he called it, and I think he's right. And his ex-Brazilian girlfriend said in a Netflix documentary that John McAfee called her from Texas and said, hey man, I had some people help me fake my death. I'm totally alive. Let's run away together. I don't know whatever came of that, but that's quite a bombshell for like the ex-girlfriend to drop in a Netflix documentary, right? That's like my crazy territory, not Netflix, okay? So anyway, then there was a picture that I saw that was put up by Greg Carlwood on the Higher Side Chats. Fantastic OG podcaster right there, of course, we all know and love. And anyway, he puts a picture of McAfee up with someone that was supposedly taken, after he was suicided in a Brazilian jail. And then you got that whole thing of McAfee saying, if I die in this Brazilian jail, I didn't commit suicide. And he got a tattoo that said like schwacked with a $sign. I don't really know what that means, but he seemed to indicate that it means like if you see a dead guy with that tattoo, he was murdered. He didn't commit suicide because the guy with that tattoo, aka me, isn't going to commit suicide. You could just say that. You don't have to get a tattoo for that, but I guess he was like a tattoo guy. Anyway, it is interesting, and it's also something that not a lot of people are talking about. And if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, look up the Panama Papers and see what McAfee had to say about the U.S. government. Nothing good. And anyway, I don't know. I think that even though Gordo interviewed the guy that on Those Conspiracy Guys podcast, I still might do a John McAfee episode because he's such an interesting character, and now we have this angle of maybe he faked his death, and if anybody was going to do it, he would do it. And if anybody could do it, he could do it. And it is an interesting proposition. So, 2025 coming at you. John McAfee, still alive, possibly. Quite the scandal, So there's that. And then, I guess, the elephant in the room would be Charlie Kirk, rest in peace. And there's a million angles of irony going on there, and it's a terrible tragedy for sure. And I haven't done an episode on it, and some people asked me if I was going to, and I just felt like it's too hot and there's too much confusion going on about it right now. I would like some time to go by so I have some actual information and data to go through, not just a bunch of speculation. And I'm sticking to that. I still might do it. I'm not sure. I'm always late to the game on those things for that very reason, because I don't want to be the bandwagon jumper that goes out there with nothing more than anyone else has, and all that anyone has is just making stuff up and guessing. To me, that's not what Renegade Files is about. So the point is, though, it does warrant a mention on the Conspiracy Theory State of the Union look back on 2025, a very fresh event, the sad assassination of Charlie Kirk. So what's my opinion about that? Well, he was killed to silence his free speech. And then, when speaking about it, Jimmy Kimmel, the talk show guy, was fired to silence his free speech. And both sides, the left and the right, blame the other. Yet both proceed down the same roads of silencing the opposition. Now, remember, the same people crying over free speech for Jimmy Kimmel today were the same people cheering when Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones got fired and sued yesterday. So, for both the left and the right, the goal is not winning the debate. It's ending the ability to debate. And you can dive deeper into those ideas in our recent Renegade Files episode, Us versus Them. Just a few back, just scroll and you'll see it. And it just comes right out and proves the point. Now, it's unfortunate that we have someone shot and killed to have the discussion, but the fact is, I was already having that discussion in our us versus them episode. Go back and listen to that if you did. Share it with your friends if you did already and liked it, and recall that I said as much then, and this is an example of exactly that playing out right before our eyes. We have both sides of the aisle doing horrible things to each other, and in the end, all it does is serve to marginalize any kind of actual conversation, right? And I don't know, man. I don't know. I have some serious feelings about that, and it just seems very obviously fishy. It seems like that guy showed up, whatever. The guy who shot Charlie Kirk, Robinson, just casually goes to like a Dairy Queen, puts his hat on, his sunglasses, and barefaced walks in there and stands for the camera. It's 15 miles away. He changes half his clothes. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. A lot of weirdness on. It's also quite a shot. But then again, he was a rifleman and a marksman and grew up shooting guns. But it's a high pressure target with a lot going on, and shooting into a crowd to pull off one perfect shot and then just totally get away. Man, I don't know. I'm not the first one to say that there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. All I can say is rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Peace to his family and his children. And, I think Jimmy Kimmel deserves to be back on the air. I don't really love the guy. I don't watch a lot of television. But at the same time, just because you don't agree with what he's saying doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to say it. I'll stand on that till the end. And I think the same thing for Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson. Where's the guy who defends Jimmy Kimmel and Tucker Carlson? Me. Because I don't have to agree with somebody to agree that they have the right to say what they want to say. So let's bring that back, okay? So going into the paranormal realms, the more lighthearted, fun stuff, isn't it kind of a crazy world when like ghosts and goblins and demons and aliens are more lighthearted and fun than like the real things happening on the street? Yeah, no doubt. So anyway, there's a few things that I want to go over as far as our State of the Union address when we look at the paranormal over the past year. And that the first one is there seems to be this proliferation of ghost hunting equipment all of a sudden. I don't know the last time you jumped on Amazon and typed ghost hunting equipment into the search bar, but they've got you covered, okay? It used to be the EMF detector and the dowsing rods and maybe a thing that could read temperature from a distance or whatever. Well, nowadays there's a lot of gear. The spirit box is an interesting one. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but I've seen it do some pretty impressive things. I may have mentioned it in one of our ghost episodes in the past. Basically what it is a FM radio, or I guess it could be AM too, that's designed to sweep the frequencies of all the stations it can pick up, and then when the radio frequency lifts a little bit, it'll lock on one for a second, and what that creates is this effect where you just hear like static and fragments of words like right, and then every now and then it'll just lock for a second and you'll hear like the word like diesel or separated or Richard, right? And it becomes really creepy because what can happen is it can bust out a couple sentences, or a phrase, or it can say the same name several times, or you can say, "Is anyone here?" and it'll be like, "Yes," right? And it's freaky, but you just don't know exactly what's going on there. But spirit boxes, they range everywhere from $40 to a couple hundred. They all kind of do the same thing. You can get an app on your smartphone that essentially either does that or mimics that. And that's a big debate in the ghost hunting world too. Are these spirit box iPhone apps or spirit box smartphone apps, are they actually scanning anything, or are they just playing back a little thing that randomly pops out a word every now and then, which it does seem to be the case? I don't know. I think that some of them are more legit than others, and this isn't a smartphone app spirit box review episode. We'll get into that when we do our ghost hunt episodes, but it's interesting to see how much equipment is out there. The spirit box is only one. There's all manner of new weird things, like little teddy bears that have lights all over them, and they're designed to light up when the EMF goes up or down. So you like ask questions and these lights pop up on this teddy bear. Why a teddy bear? I guess it's for like ghost kids. I don't know. Those things are creepy. And there's a bunch of them. There's these toys that are made for cats that are little LED balls that light up if they're touched. And what you do is you put it somewhere and you go around doing your ghost hunt. And if the thing lights up without someone touching it, it's an indication of energy. And there's tons of videos on how and why they do or don't work, but it's just kind of creepy. And when you see something that's supposed to only light when it's being touched, light when it's not being touched, that can be some scary shit when you're creeping around in an old house by yourself. And I'm just saying, anyway. So yeah, so I have my theory. I think that part of this proliferation of ghost hunting equipment that we've seen over the last year or so, part of it is coinciding with the proliferation of ghost hunting shows on cable and online. And there's just so many, and some of them are great and some of them are excruciatingly boring, and all manner in between. But I think that those types of shows have popularized the activity, and as the activity has gained in popularity, retail outlets have rose to the occasion. And you can't sell a ghost, but you can sell a little box that blinks or does something. So this ghost hunting equipment is sort of a capitalism response to the activity of people going out and seeking the paranormal, which I think is kind of a good thing. Don't trespass, be respectful, give the dead their due, kind of, that's all those caveats. However, anytime you're going to get off the computer or smartphone or get off the couch and go outside and do something, potentially a good thing for society. So let's get out in the field and let's go do some fun things in the real world and see what we can find. And I think the proliferation of ghost hunting equipment is sort of like a reflexive capitalist response to that, for good or ill, Okay, so moving along into the paranormal side of our Renegade Files Conspiracy Theory State of the Union address, I want to go over, just kind of address this, all right? And it's something that I've noticed, and I really wonder if you've noticed it too. So if you know what I'm talking about, and if you have an opinion or any information on the subject, feel free to email me at lexgordon@mail.com, or better yet, put a comment if you are listening on a platform that allows you to comment on this episode, so YouTube or Spotify, and let me know if you think I'm onto something or if I'm just crazy, okay? So what I'm talking about is this proliferation of recent, very suspicious, to me, festivals that are focused on the paranormal. So these things are called like the Oddities Festival, or the Psychic Fair, or the Creepy Collectors Festival. I don't know, there's a couple of them, and they all have this very similar look, very polished. They're all located and put on at these extremely expensive big venues. So for instance, my county fairgrounds, which has an enormous fully air-conditioned festival building, it must cost a fortune to rent. I don't know, I haven't looked into it, but not a cheap venue. And when these things come out, they will show up on social media. They will say all the right things, and all the right emojis will populate their comments and their descriptions of what's going on, and hurry and get your tickets. And the deal is, you have to pay to get into the event. And once you're in there, the only thing really going on in there are vendors who are selling things. So all you're really doing is paying for the privilege of spending more money once you're in. And now that you've paid to get in there, there's almost this kind of incentive to buy something else, or else you just wasted your money for nothing. So if you end up buying some incense in there, it just cost you like $16 for 10 sticks of incense because you paid $4 and $12 to get in. I don't know. It just, to me, it seems like there's something off about these productions. Okay. And then I have some reasons. One reason is that the vendor spots are immediately filled. So you can go to this thing's website and it says, if you would like to be a vendor at our whatever, click here. And you click there and it's like, the vendors are full. How are the vendors full when you literally just advertised it a day ago, that the thing is going to go on? I don't know. I guess it's possible, but it just seemed that to me the first red flag. Another one is that they're populated with a bunch of people and businesses and vendors that I've never heard of. Now, that doesn't mean a lot because I don't know every pagan store and, good witch incense booth. And, I don't know. How could I? But I do know some of the people in that sort of space, especially in my local or tri-county area. And that isn't any of the people who are at this event. And then I see other ones popping up in other places, and they all have a very similar aesthetic. They're expensive to go to. The vendors are full from day one. And then when you go through these events, all the vendor booths are populated by these disinterested Zoomers who kind of fall into this category of the ghosts are more afraid of them than they are the ghosts kind of thing. I don't know. It's just something fishy about it. All right, I'll just come out and say that there's something fishy and not genuine about these big, glossy, paranormal oddity type festivals that seem to be and are portrayed as being a local grassroots kind of collection of all of us weirdos who love weird stuff, and this is all our little side hustle grassroots indie kind of businesses. But then when you get there, you have this feeling that that's not what's going on because it's just a little too good. And then when you get down to the booths, it's just a little too not good. Does that make any sense? I had a similar experience a couple years ago when I went to what was billed as a nautical flea market, and it was in my local area. I think it was actually at the fairgrounds, and you had to pay $10 to get in there, and it was supposed to be all these vendors selling fishing gear and nautical decorations and boat supplies and that kind of thing. Right up my alley. I love it. And so I paid my money and I went, and when I got in there, what I found out is it is literally all just a bunch of junk, and you can't tell one vendor's junk from the next vendor's junk. It's literally just piles of whatever they were able to get from flea markets and garage sales, and it's old tangled up fishing rods and whatever. And I got and all the people, and if you can get in touch with who's running this booth or who's running that booth, they're all so nonplussed and don't care if you're there, don't care if you buy anything, hardly can be bothered to give you the time of day. And that's if you can find whoever's running that booth in the first place. Half the time there's not even anyone there, and I got the feeling that, oh man, this was just a scam to get my $10 at the door. And there was a lot of people there. So and it's not that bad of a situation with these suspicious paranormal festivals, but it's borderline the same kind of thing. So I don't know. And if you know what I'm talking about, hit me up, give me an email, or put a comment, like I said on the episode, wherever you are, and let me know what you think. Have you ever gone to one of those kind of festivals? Have you ever had a similar experience? Or am I way off? Am I completely wrong and I'm just jaded and displaying sour grapes at their festival success? I don't know. Anyway, I just had to mention it because there's just something off about it. And that's just my personal opinion. Okay, I don't want to get sued by some big festival company. So the next thing I want to talk about is Project Bluebeam. Ever heard of it? So this is the idea that the government will perpetrate a false flag alien invasion to get a couple $1 billion out of your tax pockets. And it seems like we are marching right down the road to that, if you believe what Jeremy Corbell has to say. And this is a subject that I would like to tackle when and if I get the chance to be a guest on another podcast, and maybe not all of them, but maybe the first or two. So, because I think it's timely and it's important, and keep your head on a swivel and go back, research what Project Bluebeam is. Maybe I'll do an episode on it too after I do a few guest spots, and we will see. But it just seems like all the pieces are being put in place on the chessboard for some big false flag alien invasion thing. Because, someone's asking me, well, why would they do that? Well, because then they could get us all back into our houses, just like they did with the previous. And isolation is a great sort of leveling field for social control. They could get a lot of money because we're going to need big weapons, and we're going to need rockets and lasers to fight the aliens. They could get us all arguing over whether or not it's real or not, because half the population would say, oh, this is fake, and half the population would say, you're being selfish saying it's fake, hand over your money so we can fight the aliens before they kill us all. And there's a million other reasons of geopolitical engineering that could have their hands in that sort of Project Bluebeam type of an operation. So anyway, it's just something to look out for, all I'm saying. I might go a little deeper into it and give you an episode on it so that you don't have to do all that research yourself, but it is something to watch out for. And the main lesson, I think, there, or the main warning in this, is just be on the lookout for a false flag alien invasion. Okay, you didn't hear it here first, but you did hear it here. Okay, that's sort of another thing. And another thing that I want to mention before we wrap this up, and maybe this would have been better placed in the looking ahead for the podcast section, but we're going to do it here at the end. And that is, I am still actively working on producing the Renegade Files Paracon. So a conference, several outstanding guest speakers, also myself presenting there, multiple fascinating, super cool vendors with all the cool gear, and you can look forward to that. It's going to be in the Melbourne area, the Space Coast of Florida, where we have the Space Force base, and we have a long history of exploration, and we have a bunch of friendly, cool people and some good breweries and some gorgeous venues, and I'm working on picking that out. You'll be the first to know. I'm just letting you know I haven't given up on it. It's a big project, bigger than I thought, and doing it is just taking some time to do it right. So I'm not even going to give a date right now because I'm going to wait until I have it nailed down, and then I will let you know. All right. So that is going to wrap up our Renegade Files episode 92, Conspiracy Theory State of the Union, and 4 years of Renegade Files. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to you if you have been here from the beginning, and thank you equally to you if this is the first episode you've ever listened to. You are a part of this show, and together we're going to explore the weird stuff for as long as they let us. All right. If you really want to help the show, go to patreon.com/Renegade Files, sign up on any tier, and it helps. If you just want to kick in some bucks, sign into the tip jar tier. It's $3, and it really makes a difference to me. If you want all of the bonus content, the bonus episodes, the behind the scenes files, all those other things, you can sign up at the occult detective level, or covert agent, or recon operative, or alien ambassador, or deep state benefactor. Go to patreon.com/Renegade Files and become an RFA agent today. Thank you so much if you're already there. You allow me to do this show, and I do it for you, and I do it for the listeners, and I love it, and rock on. If you also want to help, you can go get some merchandise. There's a link in the show notes. There's a link on our website, which is therenegadefiles.com. And if you want anything that I've mentioned, the place you can find it is therenegadefiles.com. That's one place with one-touch buttons to everything that we do. Check us out on YouTube. Our episodes are popping up on there. We have short form videos, all the cool stuff. And if you live on YouTube, go swing by and subscribe. Be sure to go to Instagram and find us. Our handle is @Renegade Files, and Instagram is like the visual representation of what's going on in the podcast. It's where you can find the new episodes that are coming up. It's where you can see all the cool stuff I post on Instagram. I really like the platform. I always have. So if you haven't yet, go to Instagram and find us. Our handle is at Renegade Files, and right there, click follow, and I will see you in there. You can also find us on x.com, and you can find our new newsletter, which is called Renegade Signals, and that can be found on Substack. So go to Substack. There's a link in the show notes. There's going to be a link on the website. Go to substack.com directly and just search for Renegade Signals and sign up to our free newsletter, which gives you all kinds of cool stuff. Okay? So once again, thank you for joining me here today. Thank you so much for being a part of this show, and thank you sincerely for being a Renegade Files fan. It warms my heart, and I do it for you, and I'm going to keep on doing it. Subscribe or follow Renegade Files right now on whatever podcast app you're listening on, so that together we can meet here next time and explore the world of weirdness, covert culture, and all things mysterious. I am so glad to have you in the Renegade Files crew. I'm your host, Lex Gordon. Stay wild, invisible child.